Hi, I'm Sid Padinti, attorney law from California Law Services. I welcome you to today's video training session. We're going to talk about business and legal strategies for business owners. Let's dive right into it. The three topics I'm going to focus on in today's presentation are going to be number one, asset protection, number two, risk mitigation, and number three, intellectual property monetization. So these are called the ARM business and legal strategies. ARM, asset protection, risk mitigation, intellectual property monetization. It's what every business needs to understand and every business owner needs to know. The first aspect covers asset identification, intellectual property creation, and enforcement of these intellectual property rights so you can gain the competitive advantage in your market. Second, in terms of risk mitigation, we're talking about internal risks that exist from within the organization. The second topic in that is external risks, which exist from outside your organization that impact your bottom line. The third branch is IP monetization, and here we're going to explore digital expansion as well as through partnerships, joint ventures, and other new revenue sources. Excuse me. Before we go ahead and dive in detail about this, let me go ahead and give you a brief background about myself. I've been an entrepreneur for roughly 17 years. I started my first business when I was just getting out of high school at 17. It was an import and export business in Toronto, Canada, where I'm originally from. Since then, I've had a chance to open 8 different businesses, and just like other entrepreneurs, I've experienced my shares of wins and losses. Believe me, when I say losses, it's extreme losses. So I understand exactly what asset protection, risk mitigation, and monetization and rebuilding new revenue streams is all about because I've experienced these in my life, and that's sort of how I came up with a lot of the things I'll share with you today. I'm also a business and intellectual property attorney. My law firm is in Manhattan Beach in California, off the Pacific Coast Highway. Beautiful place, beautiful city. I am lucky to be here. I've worked very hard, and one of the things I love doing is to help business owners across the globe, where a lot of my clients are from various industries across many different in many different countries, operating in many different industries from various backgrounds. And I love helping them understand these strategies, how to protect their legacy using the ARM business strategies. So these exist. A lot of my clients hire me to talk about and fix solutions internally as well as externally. And also, one of the things I work on is how to create and protect and monetize intellectual property as you develop it for my professional practice. I've also had a bankruptcy and restructuring practice in Toronto since 2006. I'll share with you some details about that a little later on and how I got into that. But over the last 12 years, I've had the opportunity to work with roughly 5,000 people. In one way, great experience for me. On another side, it's unfortunate seeing smart, driven business leaders and business owners end up in my bankruptcy office because they failed to understand how to protect their assets, they failed to understand how to mitigate and reduce liability and risks. And lastly, the one thing that I've been able to help them understand is how to restructure themselves and create new revenue streams so that after the bankruptcy they have a way out and they can develop a new life. And so over the past 10 plus years, my focus has shifted more from helping people file bankruptcy to the post bankruptcy stage, which is helping them develop new revenue streams, utilizing and monetizing their ideas, turning those into intellectual property via products and services or whatever, and helping them reset themselves. Over these years, we've helped people reduce roughly $100 million in liabilities, if not much more. And, successfully restructured at least 3,000 or more small businesses so far. So, who is this presentation for? This is about you. I've created this presentation with specific people in mind. The first one are CEOs or other C-level executives, managing directors, founders, or partners. A lot of my practice and advisory is with people who are operating in these posts, and so some of these strategies may make sense if you belong to one of those categories. One of the things you'll understand is strategic forecasting and the big picture legal analysis. That's what we'll focus on today. It's also going to be helpful if you ideally possess over $1 million worth of assets, right? Maybe you didn't evaluate or get it evaluated yet, but think about it this way: if you generate more than $100,000 a year in revenue, this presentation may be of great value to you. Lastly, if you have multiple contracts, if you deal with multiple parties and you have many transactions in motion, this strategy, the ARM business strategies, may answer some of the questions that you may come across in your business. The second set of people I've designed this for is startups and new business owners who are looking to build a brand and transform ideas into valuable assets. Next, it's helping them create new products or services, programs, even softwares or even apps. And lastly, in that category, it's how to strategically build a brand that's making at least $100,000 or more in revenue in the next 12 months, or be worth $1 million in total value as a brand. And that's where intellectual property really comes in, right? Raising the net worth of your business. Lastly, this ARM business strategies is also applicable if you are a professional entrepreneur, if you have a coaching firm, if you have a real estate firm, even if you're an attorney, and maybe some of these strategies you've missed out on, which a lot of my clients are attorneys over the years. And it's also ways for you to understand how to create intellectual property in your business and how to protect it and how to gain the competitive advantage using some of the strategies I'm going to share with you. So these are going to be a real game changer for you. So here's what you need for this webinar. Number one, it starts with the mindset, right? And this is designed for business leaders, is designed for visionaries, is designed for entrepreneurs who are creative and who are going to go out there and make a big difference in the world, right? It can be in a small way, but it starts in the mind. And so I need you to focus on the big picture, but know that as a CEO or as a startup founder or even as a professional entrepreneur, you need to know every minutia of detail in your firm. And so I want you to think about those two aspects. Have the big picture in mind, but be able to zoom in to the minute details. If you have to dot the I's and cross the T's, you got to be able to do that. The second is that business leaders, whether you're talking about politicians from Obama to Abraham Lincoln, Nelson Mandela, Gandhi, or whoever you want to talk about in history, most of them understood the law and the importance of the law. When I say the law, I'm talking about a general concept of how to use different laws, right, as a tool. And to be a successful business owner, don't necessarily need to understand it, but you need to understand the importance of it. And so even though you may not need to know the exact laws or sections or acts that may regulate something, you need to know where to find someone who can help you understand those things and incorporate those things. The second is I want you to be able to focus for the next 30 to 60 minutes. I've said 60 minutes, but we may go through it faster. This is about your business, not mine. Okay, I'm sharing experiences, what I've gained by working with over 5,000 people and with hundreds of millions of dollars in transactions. So You may learn from it. This may impact your business in a major way. This can be a real game changer for you. So I need you to focus. I need you to get rid of all distractions. If you need to save this video and come back to it at a later point in time, go ahead and do that. But these strategies are going to be extremely important. Number two is that these strategies are designed to be executed immediately, right? If while they're hot, strike while the iron's hot. So as we discuss these strategies, and as some of these may trigger in your mind and say, "Oh, I never thought about this," or "Oh, I'm experiencing this just now in my business," or "Oh, my partners and I just talked about this," then the way to tackle those things is to work on those immediately, execute some of these things you may learn from it today. Also, um, the combination of the practical knowledge that I've gained as an entrepreneur and undergoing economics, I have an economics degree as well as 2 international business law degrees, and I've started about 8 businesses, as I've mentioned, and helped successfully restructure over 5,000 bankruptcy cases. So I've combined all of those experiences and knowledge and everything else that I've gained, and this is not to tell you that I'm boasting or not to show off, but is to help you get the benefit of millions of dollars and hundreds of thousands of hours of learning and training and testing and perfecting that I've done that I'm going to put for you in this little video. All right, so there's a massive value in it. Next, the last thing I need you to do is to really be transparent and honest with yourself. Look, there's nobody else on this video except for you and I don't know who you are. So you need to know about your business. You need to be honest with yourself. And if there's something that needs to be fixed, I need you to say, shoot, I need to fix this right away, and go do it after this video. If you have to pause this video, even if you lose track of it, just send me an email. I'll send it back to you, right? I'll share the link with you as recorded. But if something triggers in your mind and you come up with a solution as we're talking about it, I want you to pause it, go fix it, write it down, and implement it right away. Because one little move can cost you thousands, if not millions of dollars, and this video may reveal some of those for you. The next thing is the most important. As a business owner, there's certain things you cannot be cheap at the wrong time, and business and legal strategies, among others, like taxation and dealing with the IRS and dealing with your bookkeeper, are probably the most important things. So I want you to be in these three frames of mind where you're going to be able to focus 100%. You put your game face and your leader face on, as well as you're going to be 100% transparent and honest with yourself. If something needs to be fixed, fix it. Don't be cheap at the wrong time. If we're ready, let's go ahead and jump right into it. All right. Oh, sorry. So here's a quick reality check for you right before we dive in. Ask yourself, what's happening in your business right now? What revenue are you generating right now? What revenue would you like to generate and do you project for 2018? Number two, what kind of contracts are in place in your business right now? Let's talk about internal contracts. So these may be your operating agreements for your LLC or your S Corp or your C Corp. It may be the filing with the Secretary of State in your state. It may be the internal operating agreements. It may be equity disclosures. It may be capital investments and other bylaws or whatnot. So what's brewing in your business right now, right? Secondly, external contracts. I want you to think about your client contracts. If you have clients, are they robust, right? Vendor contracts, contracts with your consultants and employees, marketers, coaches, suppliers, perhaps even third parties, right? Are they ironclad? Do they cover all the liabilities? Are your risks and other conflicts mitigated from all sides? Are you able to predict them, deflect them ahead of time before losses are going to be imminent, right? So these are the things I want you to think about when you think of contracts. What do you need to focus on right now? Focus on three things, right? Is it the protection of your assets and intellectual property? Is it buttoning up of contracts and agreements that you already have in place because there's possibly thousands, if not millions of dollars at stake in transactions as we speak? Or is it registering documents with the government? Maybe you're still operating without registering the right way, right? Um, I see a lot of coaches and consultants and marketers nowadays on Facebook traveling the globe and hosting all kinds of seminars and workshops or whatnot. Now, let me ask you a question. If you're coming into the United States from elsewhere, maybe you're from Australia or you're from the UK, number one, did you get a valid immigration visa to come here and host a seminar? So you're not a traveler anymore, a visitor, right? You came for a specific business purpose. Number two, if you're making money in the US by hosting these seminars, are you paying tax to the IRS and are you paying tax to that state? Number three, if somebody was to sue you, does your contract say that the arbitration or mediation or remedies are going to be back in Australia, or is it here? And where are the majority of your clients? Are they United States? Are you operating a business from Australia with most of your clients in California, and you don't even have the proper legal paperwork to come across and host your seminars, right? These are things you need to focus on, right? Stop beating around the bush. You need to get educated and do things the proper way. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and give you about 30 seconds to gather all these strategies before we get started. Grab yourself a cup of water, get yourself a coffee, put your phone on silent. Do what you got to do. I'll give you about 30 seconds and then let's dive right into it. Okay, let's go for it. So, three topics: ARM, ARM. A is asset protection, and B, risk mitigation, and M is IP monetization. Sorry, I said B, it's R. So, asset protection, we're going to focus on asset identification, intellectual property, which is called IP creation, and enforcement of these rights so that you can gain the competitive advantage in your business. So here's a quick checklist of all the different assets that I want you to identify in your business. Right? Ask yourself, can something give my business the competitive edge or the competitive advantage? And if it can, it's probably an asset of some sort. Number one is the business name. Of course, it can give you a competitive edge. The product or service names. Absolutely. Program course names. Yes, of course. Your business plan. Yes, if it's a unique business plan that has helped you gain a competitive share in the market, maybe helped you gain investor money, or helped you exceed your expectations and forecasts, then that's something that you want to protect. Number five, website domain URL. Do you have a strong website domain? Did you register it as a trademark? Is it hosted by you? Do you control it? Right? Is it protected from all sides? Is it secure? These are things you want to ask yourself because, that's an asset. Again, your website content. Absolutely, that's an asset. It's something that you created. The website workflow that you have integrated. The hashtags that you have probably started to develop and use. What about different and unique marketing plans that you possess? Right? What about the different marketing assets, like the actual creatives or the actual commercials? Those are definitely something that can give you the competitive advantage. Publications and manuals, marketing pages, social following, social database, social pages and profiles, right? Absolutely. These are proprietary to you and your business. You probably have your own login that your followers don't have, right? So that's your competitive advantage. You, as the admin of a Facebook group, can probably see all the members, which others may not be able to do. So that's an advantage and certainly an asset. The content on those pages. What about customer lists? What about customer identities? Customer insights that you may have or have even developed over time. And customer email, right? Emails and lists and phone numbers. These are all assets. So I'm sure that you possess almost all of these assets in your business. If you're operating and if you're earning at least $100,000 or more, or even if you're in the startup phase and you have some investor money and you want to go ahead and put your business together, or you have a professional firm which is operating already, then you probably have almost all of these, if not, if not most of them. So these are your corporate assets. These are your business assets. Now the question is, can you turn them into intellectual property? Let's go ahead and start with what intellectual property is. Okay? So intellectual property refers to the creations of the mind, such as invention, literary and artistic works, design and symbols, names and images used in commerce. Now, I have attached a link at the bottom for you called Test Knowledge. The United States Patent and Trademark Office is a regulatory body in the United States that regulates patents and trademarks. They have a free assessment. You can take a look at it and figure out how many intellectual properties you have. Okay, if you want the link, if you didn't get that, just send me an email after this webinar and I'll make sure I send that link to you. So there are generally 4 types of intellectual property. The first one is called trademarks. Simply said, a trademark is a mark used in trade, right? Copyrights is the next one. It's the right to copy somebody else's material. Next is patents. A patent can be either a design patent, right? Something that is like a packaging or whatnot. The Coca-Cola bottle, for example, think about that. Or you have a utility patent, which is based on what it does, right? Like maybe a light bulb that provides light or something else, right? It's based on something that enhances the utility and performance. Excuse me. Lastly, it's trade secrets. And trade secrets are really anything other than these 3 that I mentioned to you that fall into this category here, right? Anything else that can give you a competitive advantage in your business could be a trade secret. So how do you create intellectual property? Well, let's look at trademarks right now and service marks. Number 1, trademarks are a unique identifier, right? That's what they are. They help you distinguish yourself in the market by using signs, symbols, names, slogans, logos, even smells. They help you stand out. They help you avoid confusion with your competitors and also give you a tool to sort of control competitor behavior. They can be protected on a state level, a federal level, and even internationally. Trademarks protect against similar names, sounds, marks, anything else. If your competitor or somebody else tries to mimic your ideas and you have a trademark, that can probably protect them from doing it, right? I'm not going to get into the details of it in this particular video, but that's sort of what trademarks do. It gives you the ability to distinguish yourself and establish your domain in a way, in a certain geographic area, if it's an unregistered one, right? Like when you look there at a TM sign that you give. So generally, it's a common law notice. I suggest you go ahead and put it on your names, on your website, and your logos or whatnot. Do a quick search and make sure somebody else is not using it. And if nobody's using it, go ahead and put it in. At least you're giving the world some sort of a common law notice. Now, if you do have a registered trademark, if you've applied to the USPTO, which is a government and the governing body, and they're part of international different agreements in place like the World Trade Organization as well as the World IPO, which is Intellectual Property Office, then again, there's some enforcement that can be afforded for you if you have a registered trademark. Okay, so remember that if you're going to use the R sign, you have to file it first before you use it or enforce it. Here's some examples of trademarks that you're all very familiar with, right? The big companies, YouTube, Nike, Coca-Cola, Apple. Now, that's how powerful trademarks are. At the first glance itself in the market, in trade, you know exactly who your company is and distinguish yourself from everybody else. So that's what sort of trademarks do, right? It help you distinguish yourself from somebody else. Now, here's a question. How do you create intellectual property if you don't have a patent, right? Maybe you're in the service business. So ask yourself, is it something that was in my mind and now it's an asset in my business? So here's a quick way. I gave you some indications before. T is a trademark, TS is a trade secret, C is a copyright. If your business name, it can be trademarked. Product service names can be trademarked. Program course names can be trademarked. Business plans, it's probably a trade secret. Unless it's very unique, then maybe you can come up with a trademark as well. Website domain URL can be trademarked. Content in your website, copyright. Website workflow, maybe it's copyrighted material. Maybe the hashtags that you have, it could be trademarked. There have been some hashtag trademarks. Marketing plans are part of your contracts and they contain copyrighted material that can be reflected as trade secrets, right? Marketing assets are both copyrights and can be protected as trade secrets as well. Publications and manuals are definitely copyrightable material. Same with marketing pages you may have. Here's a question for you for the next few of them. Social following, the social database, social profile pages that you have on Facebook and LinkedIn and other platforms. Who does that really belong to? Is it you or is it Facebook? Right? The content you're creating on Facebook, does that belong to you? Is that copyrighted? Or does that belong to Facebook? Right? Ask yourself these questions. That's a very interesting and gray area of law. Let's jump down to number 17, customer lists. These are definitely trade secrets you want to protect from all sides, right? Reflected in contracts. Identity of customers, insights, customer email lists. These are all things that are highly secretive to your business, that give you the competitive advantage, and you want to reflect these in different contracts. Okay, now let's jump to strategy number 2, risk mitigation. Internal risks within the organization, external risks outside the organization. When we talk about internal risks, we're talking about, a variety of them, right? Internal and external. Here's a question I want you to ask yourself. Who can screw up my day? All right? Ask yourself that question. So if you look at internally, is it business partners? Is it co-founders? Is it investors? Is it regulatory or government agencies? Is it a Secretary of State who might shut down your business? Or is it employees, right? Which of those can give you a headache? And any of them on any given day could give you a headache, right? Externally, clients, customers, vendors, suppliers, marketers, coaches, strategic partners, contractors, even your web developers and tech geeks who are helping you. Can they give you a problem? Absolutely. Can they screw up your day somehow? Absolutely. Right? So these are the parties who you need to think about from a risk mitigation and a risk prediction standpoint. Let's ask yourself another question. How can they screw up my day? Okay, so that's the next question. The first step is, who is going to screw up my day? The next part to that corollary is, how can they screw it up? And so here we're looking at internally, they can perhaps restrict your decisions. They can be uncooperative. Maybe they want more equity. Maybe they have too much equity. Excuse me. Maybe there's no concrete direction in the firm, so the partners feel lost, right? Maybe they hardly contribute cash or sweat or anything else, but have 50% of the share. Then what, right? That can give you a headache. Maybe they want to initiate a lawsuit, right? Or maybe there's a chance that they may tank your entire operation, your business legacy down the drain. It happens quite often, right? So these are the ways that someone internally, so here we're looking at business partners, co-founders, investors, government regulatory, secretary of state, or even employees can screw up your day. Now, externally, let's look back. We have clients, vendors, suppliers, marketers, strategic partners, contractors, web developers, right? People outside your organization. How can they screw up your day? Now, it can be from a lack of information that they provide you on something you're working on that makes your job tougher. It can be a lack of implementation on strategies that you're providing them in whatever field it may be. And now they don't get results and they come back to you and blame you. Well, that can screw up your day, right? Because you just laid it off for them, but they're not implementing it, they're not executing it. What about if your client becomes a competitor? Would that screw up your day? Absolutely. What about if your partners suddenly start to steal and copy ideas? What if your web developer now has produced 5 more applications and selling those from the codes that he got from you? Would that pirated product ruin your day? I know it would definitely ruin mine if I had something like that. Now, they can also be uncooperative. Maybe they're not even paying bills on time, right? What about if your customer or somebody else, a competitor or somebody else, starts to tarnish your online image? What can you do? So, all these are the different ways somebody external to your organization can, quote unquote, screw up your day. Now, I want you to ask yourself, okay, so the 3 steps. The first step is who can screw up your day? We've identified that. How can they screw it up? We've identified 16 different ways. And now, what can you do to protect yourself? Now, this is really where the strategies of how you, as the business owner, the business leader, can spring in action, be proactive as opposed to reactive, right? So internally, what can you do? You can set up strong operational agreements. You can have clear designations of roles and scope of each person's responsibility. You can keep track of everything, right? Every conversation or every strategic move somewhere. That way everything's formalized. Uh, don't be cheap. Go get an attorney or an accountant or somebody else to help you set up your business the right way. So these things are captured ahead of time. It's on paper, it's formalized. Both partners or multiple partners or whoever is involved have clear direction of what to expect and what not to expect, right? Don't go on emotion. If there's 2 partners, and this happens a lot, people, especially where a tech person's involved, I see this, and 2 people get together, a tech person and a salesperson. The tech person has built the company, sales guy goes and gets all the contracts. Now, based on emotion, they say 50-50, but in reality, the tech person's job is about 80% of the entire company, right? Now, is that fair that they get 50-50? Later on, people start to question these things. So don't be cheap at the wrong time. Formalize everything. Track every conversation. Have clear designations. And capture all these things in your operating agreements, right? Plan forward. Plan for the worst case scenario in every situation, whether it's dealing with your family, whether it's dealing with your friends, whether it's dealing with strangers. Does that make sense so far? And again, I apologize if I'm going a little fast. Just feel free to reach out to me. I'll send you a copy of this entire presentation for you, and I'll help you walk through it if you get lost on something. Okay, so I apologize if I'm going a little fast and you need to ask questions or something comes up and it's not answered. Feel free to reach out to us after, and we'll be more than happy to walk through it with you. Okay, so let's look at externally. Who can script a day now, right? How can they do it? We've identified that. What can you do? Number 1, enforce agreements. Again, write everything down. Have disclaimers. Create intellectual property. I've showed you how to do that earlier. How to create simple trademarks, right? How to enforce those trademarks. How you can gain the competitive advantage, restrict someone's behavior based on a trademark right that you have, right? And so create intellectual property, enforce it. Have robust clauses that protect your assets, protect your legacy. Be proactive. Don't wait for, the S word to hit the fan and spread all over, because the cleanup part is very tough. And believe me, as a bankruptcy attorney and a business lawyer, um, over the years, most people come to me when they stuff is all over the place, right? They want me to come clean it up. I don't want to be the S cleaner. I want to be the person who's going to give you the bag so that in the first place, the S doesn't have to hit the fan. Does that make sense? Be over prepared, not underprepared. So hopefully that makes sense so far from an asset protection and a risk mitigation standpoint, right? Let's talk about intellectual property monetization. There's really three broad ways to do it, and each of these are capable of further dissection or whatnot. So let's take a look at them. When you talk about monetizing these different intellectual properties, so as you've created different trademarks, as you've created different products, as you've created various services or whatnot, what can you do with it, right? So now it's time to monetize them. So here you can look at licensing opportunities. You can look at trading internationally with international partners. Maybe you're approaching investors to go into a bigger league. That way you have more funds behind you. Maybe entering joint ventures, right, where people have similar strategic missions and objectives, and partnering and teaming up with them. Perhaps creating online products and selling them, right? Even if you're, let's say, a law firm or real estate firm, maybe there's things that you can create similar to what I've just done in this video, automated online products and services, right? Set up some automated sequences, sell with webinars, host your own events and workshops, go speak at different events, offer free tips to people in your workspace, perhaps, or to other organizations. Partner with educational institutions, enter new markets, create new products, offer new services, go publish a book, create some softwares or applications, go interview people, make a book out of it, perhaps, right? These are all ways to monetize your assets, turning ideas and thoughts and imagination into products and services, creating intellectual property out of it, and then monetizing intellectual property in 17 different ways, among many others that I have not covered here, right? I've just walked through right now in the last half an hour or so exactly how you can do this. So let me give you a second here for you to think about this particular slide, because this is very important if you're really trying to boost your income by 4, 5, 6 times or 10 times a month. So I'll give you 30 seconds. Just go ahead and take a look at the slide and think about which one of these aspects would you like to do this year in your business. And it could be multiple ones, right? For us, we're going to go after about 6 or 7 of them this year. And some of these have already been in place. So take a few seconds, think about these strategies. All right. Hopefully, you've identified at least 4 or 5 of these different revenue streams that you can immediately work on, that you can immediately implement into your business this year, right? Take your legacy to another level. So, I've walked through a pretty detailed version of really things that have cost me over $1 million to learn and master and test and over the years. And these are the strategies that I explore with all my clients from various industries. The 3 things, the ARM business strategies. This is what you need to protect your legacy, right? It's how to identify your assets, how to create intellectual property out of them, how to enforce that intellectual property right so that you're gaining the competitive advantage over all parties, right? By mitigating any risks from any side, whether it's internal within the organization or external outside the organization, and how to create intellectual property that can be monetized, that can be used to generate money, revenue, income for you every month, that also increases drastically increases your net worth, right? So these are the strategies that I explore with my clients. Hopefully, um, if you're still here watching these strategies have made sense to you. These strategies are applicable to your business. And so, what are the next steps is I invite you to go ahead and, send me a quick text so that I can send you this template. Download them, make a list, put all these assets together. If you've already downloaded the PDF, you have those lists, some of those lists in a little less detail. Print those out, stick them in front of your computer, put them on your wall, and look at it every day, because every single one of those aspects can impact your bottom line on any day, right? Let's do a quick recap. Assets, names, services, programs, plans, URLs, content, websites, planning. You have all this stuff. Risks from partners, founders, investors, governments, secretary of state, employees, externally from clients, vendors, marketers, coaches, website developers, in a variety of ways that can screw up your day and your business, really, right? Lawsuits, uncooperative, too much equity. What do? These are the things you do. You create operational agreements. You put contracts. You think of clauses. You put everything into words and formalize it. Right? So that's the way you do it. And then you go ahead and create new revenue streams. So I invite you to go ahead and apply these strategies into your business, test them out, take these very seriously, because everything that you're spending time in has a purpose, right? Time is money, time is value. So protect your legacy. I invite you to go ahead and book a strategy session with me on the website southbaybusinesshub.com. I know you see California Law Services at the bottom. This is a presentation that I created for my law firm. However, the South Bay Business Hub is where we host workshops, where we host programs and courses. It's our intellectual property monetization tool, right? As I showed you here. These are some of the different avenues that I'm going to enter with South Bay Business Hub that I can't necessarily do with California Law Services, being a law firm. So it's about creative strategy and applying those creative strategies to create new income for yourself and your family. So I invite you to book a strategy session. Let's go ahead and discuss some of these strategies as they apply to you and your business. The first thing we're going to do is to develop a Google document that we both can look at as we start to develop a list. We'll go through each aspect of these step by step in your business so that we're able to identify clearly what's what and be able to navigate and really identify the top 3 priorities that you have, so that by the time we're finished the 20 or 30-minute strategy session, you would have, I guarantee, you would have at least gained $1,000 worth of direct value in your business, right? It's something that can be a real game changer for you. I welcome you to go to our website, South Bay Business Hub, and just scroll to the bottom of the page, and you'll see a calendar. I invite you to book a free consultation with me. There's a short form. Fill that out, and let's talk about your business. Let's see which one of these is impacting you and how we can help you protect your legacy by arming your business with these strategies. Once again, I'm Sid Pedinti, business and intellectual property attorney. I thank you for watching this free web training session. I hope you've gained a lot of value that you can use to transform your business right away. The strategies that I covered are absolutely critical for you to understand, for you to master, and for you to execute in your business from all sides, internally and externally, so that you can protect your legacy and you can go to bed at night peacefully, knowing that your business is safe, your assets are safe, your personal property is safe from your clients, right? From your creditors, from your business commitments. So these are the things we're going to help you explore. Thanks again. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Bye bye.